Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, and welcome to the Daily Arsenal Podcast, brought to you as part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. It is Tuesday, and we are following up from our very popular, most hated Arsenal 11 with a little bit of a role reversal. We felt a bit mean yesterday, so we're coming in with the most beloved Arsenal 11 now. And I tell you what, it is a full house tonight. Joining me, Josh Vince, your host, we have Jamie Patterson, Matt, Craig Matthews, and Joshua Duncan. Gents, it is great to have you all with us. Craig, are you feeling ready to give out some love rather than the hate we were sharing yesterday?
Yeah, of course, definitely, 100%. Yeah,
and what about you, Josh? Does it sit well with you?
Yeah, I think this one was a bit more easier than yesterday's one. I think there's more loved Arsenal than players than we hate. So hopefully this will still be fun as well.
I'm sure it will, but I actually found this one in defence slightly harder. I'm not going to lie. Players that I love. Yeah. Jamie, I think you listened to the podcast earlier today, and I'm going to ask Matt the same question. Just because we didn't have you on yesterday, who is your most hated Arsenal player?
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh, I can't think. I actually can't think.
Jamie loves everyone. What about you, Matt? Do you have room in you're a very gentle soul and a very grounded man. Do you have room in your heart for hate?
I'm afraid I'm a bit too civilized for this question.
Do you know what? I respect that. I respect your honesty around it.
I mean, to be fair, there's one name, but it's generic as Van Persie, so you can have that one. But
yeah,
everyone else, yeah.
Well, I mean, Adebayor won as the most hated amongst all of us, but Van Persie was very close in there. So let's turn it around. Let's make this nice. Let's make this about the most beloved Arsenal 11. And we're going to do the same as we did yesterday. We're going to go through the positions. We've got a vague 4-3-3 formation. We can mix it up if we want. There's no mad pressure on the formation. But starting off, the goalkeeper. Now, Matt, you weren't in yesterday's episode, so we'll start with you. When you think about players who are loved by Arsenal, which goalkeepers stand out for you?
Difficult one. I think there's no one who stands out where you're like, wow, everyone adores you. But there's obviously, the ones who are successful, people always appreciate. The ones who come across well, I guess people always appreciate. People really liked Ramsdale when he was here. And in terms of taking away the footballing side of things, and obviously that's rather relevant, I feel like he'd probably be the most loved, I want to say. Like, the way he carried himself about, the way almost was quite relatable. People like that. I think he's probably the one you jump to. In terms of probably the one to say, it probably is Lehman or I guess Raya. But once again, it kind of comes down to success a lot of the time, doesn't it? Particularly in that position.
Interestingly, Jens Lehmann was on Josh and Craig's list yesterday for the most hated goalkeeper.
That's interesting. It's not many, to be fair. There's, if you looked at hated keepers, very good. You've got about two options, really, it feels like. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you make a good point. I have Ramsdale in my list.
Really?
Yeah, mainly just because the fans loved him. And, he was a personality and he was a force of personality. Who did you have then, Josh? Because I've got one other.
I've got David Seaman. I think that's a no-brainer.
Same. Yeah, same.
I think I've even won a league and cut double twice.
Yeah.
Arsenal legend. I mean, I don't think he was good enough for us, but I'm pretty sure some Arsenal fans, a lot of Arsenal fans, love him. So I think he's a shoo-in for me.
Bit of a weirdo, isn't he?
He's got nothing to do with his personality, Josh.
That's true, yeah. For some reason, I equate him with Michael Owen and sort of Scholes in that level of strangeness, sort of the daughter's toe sucking level of oddness amongst professional footballers, But I mean, if we're gonna throw it out there, I think those are two good shouts. I think Aaron Ramsdale and David Seaman are very good shouts. Jamie and Craig, you nodded with Seaman, didn't both of you?
I also had, to be honest, I had two keepers in my head, and Ramsdale was there along with David Seaman as well.
Okay, and what about you, Craig? Which way are you leaning?
Dave Seaman.
Seaman
I
it
had,
is then.
I had Manninger as well for what he did in the season when Seaman got injured and won the double. I thought he had a good, as a backup keeper. He was a good backup keeper at the time.
Mine was,
So,
yeah. That's very true. I also had Chesney in there because he was a bit of a character. People I think people liked him as he got further in his career after he left Arsenal. We could appreciate him more once he'd gone.
yeah.
And we realised just how crap everybody else was. Okay, that's fine. Defenders. Let's go right back. Let's say right back. Craig, have you got any suggestions there?
I got two.
Mm-hmm.
Bakker, Sanya, and Lee Dixon.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Who do you think sort of holds it for you then between those two, Sanya and Dixon?
When it comes to the winning trophy, I think Dixon won more trophies than Sanya. Sanya only won one trophy with us. That was the FA Cup in 2014, I think it was.
Yeah.
But I'll say I think Sanya was one of our best right backs in a long, long time that we had. Consistent, hardly injured, played a lot of games for us. So I would say maybe him. Just edging towards him a little bit.
Yeah. What about you, Jamie? Did you have any?
Sanya being one of them, but there was another name I could have said, but then I was then thinking, you know what, I wasn't really too convinced because he started his career decently against Borussia Dortmund, and then he had an okay career, but then I was like, I wouldn't have him in my team. I might have maybe said Hector Bellerin, providing that he had, yeah, there you go. Exactly my point. Exactly. The boys are nodding. JD and Craig are nodding their head. Like,
if you're listening to this and not watching it, at the moment I've got Jamie in my top left, Matt in my top right, and Josh and Craig the bottom left and bottom right, and both of them next to each other in unison just shook their heads as soon as you said the word Hector Bellerin.
That's why I was like, that's why I was really umming and ahhing, because like he had a decent start to his season, but then it just kind of like it just didn't really work out, and then I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm having him. But Bakary Sanya for me would be, someone I would definitely have up there.
Well, it seems to be leaning in the Sanya direction. I mean, I had Bellerin down, but mainly because he's, popular for his fashion above his football. Matt and Josh, do you agree with the Sanya shout, or is there anyone else you'd want to argue?
I'll let Matt lead this one.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm throwing a fun one out there. No, you know what's really funny, right? About this question in terms of lovable.
Yes.
It's either players who were either a bit of a meme or didn't play enough, but people have seen afterwards and they've carried themselves really well, or it's someone who's done a lot for the club.
Yeah.
So I think Bellerin, when he first came through, everyone loved him. I think the way Bellerin carries himself off the pitch is brilliant. I think people love it. What he's done with the tree side of things and the forests and helping the sustainability side of things, and obviously the fashion side of things is his own character and everything like that. It's brilliant. But the big but, his final season at the club, I unfortunately remember pretty sourly the way it was rated and the way people looked at him.
Yeah.
Which I think if you were to say now, I think Bellerin would be right up there. Because, as I say, you almost gain reputation by not playing for the club, so to speak. So I'd say Bellerin is quite high up there. And I've got a really funny shout, right, for the other one, which is going to be hilarious to hear, right? But I almost feel like he's really liked because he's just a bit of a meme.
Can I guess who you're going to say?
Oh,
Jenkinson! Carl Jenkinson! Jenko!
Yeah. It's been so long since he played for us that everyone almost just takes him as like, it's just funny wherever he's gone. Like, he's at Bromley now, I think. And
yeah, he is. Yeah.
Funny. Like, everyone just appreciates him. The second he plays, no one wants a part of it.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those players who's like quite appreciated, quite liked, just because of how he's done after just not playing for Arsenal, basically.
I mean, by that metric, Rob Holding's going to be the centre back.
No.
But I do think it's a very funny shout out for right back. I thought you were going to go Ben White. I forgot that Jenko existed. I'll be honest with you.
I love a good edgy take. It's just good fun, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
That's
I thought Matt was going to go for someone like Debucci or something like that.
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to pull the Debucci card out.
I think that the final or the answer then for this position is going to have to be Sakri Banya.
Zachary Banya.
Sakri Banya.
Josh is still shocked here.
Are you forgetting he went to City?
Yeah, this is my thinking. He went to City.
Moment, by the way. That was
but
that was what I was referring to. The
Yeah.
Sakri Banya.
but when he went to City, they was already finished anyway. We got the best out of him anyway. So.
I was going to say that, yeah.
That's true, but
Arsenal
went.
really captured.
Still went.
Arsenal captured his best years, and then as soon as he went to City, it was like kind of just fizzled out.
over Ben White and Lee Dixon. Lee Dixon.
I did say Lee Dixon or Baka Sanya. I did say one of them too. So you have to give me a blind there, man.
It's Lee Dixon.
He's just trying to get into JD's good books. Craig's trying to get into JD's good books at this rate.
I just don't see how Lee Dixon doesn't get in there. I know he's a bit before our time, but he's an Arsenal legend, man.
He is a hero of the club. He is a true hero. Do you know what? I'm going to cast the final vote here. It's Lee Dixon. Lee Dixon. I'm going to give it to Josh, and not just because he's got a cracking name. Right. We took a long time on the right back. Let's go left back. Jamie, who's your suggestion for the most beloved left back?
Wow.
Do you know what? I'm going to throw a name out while you're thinking about it. I actually think, in terms of beloved, Kieran Tierney might be quite high up there.
Yeah.
I think people really, really like him. I mean, when you think about the other left backs we've had, Kolasinac, Andre Santos, Gibbs was popular, but I think that people prefer Tierney to Gibbs personally. Josh, we'll go to you on this one now, because you had your last bit was on the right back. What did you make of left backs?
I think I'm edging between Monreal.
Oh, Nacho! Nacho!
It was love. It was love. Even though, again, I never thought he was good enough for us, but he was loved from a lot of Arsenal fans.
He was a dirt cat, wasn't he? He worked his socks off for that team. Oh, I forgot about Nacho.
Oh wow,
mate. What about you, Matt? Where's your head at this?
Is it too much of a loophole to say Lewis Skelly?
He didn't even play the full season yet.
I love the recency bias. I love it. What about you, Craig? Where's your shout?
Nigel Winterburn or has to be Monreal, one of them two, or Kieran Tierney.
Oh God,
Monreal and Tierney, I think is definitely.
I did have Winterburn there as well. I did have him.
I think
Winterburn was great.
Winterburn, he scored a lot of goals for us, and he played a lot of matches for us as well. Won a lot of trophies as well. That's what I thought about him as a cult hero as well. So
he's a bit of a hero. Okay, Jamie, I'm going to give you the casting vote this time. It's Tierney's not really in it. It's Monreal or Nigel Winterburn. Or where are you leaning with this one?
I think for me, I've probably just got to lean it towards Monreal. I mean, I never forget Wembley. I never forget Wembley. I just never forget him as a player. Just for me, it'd be Monreal.
I feel like we're doing Matt dirty here. Two excellent suggestions in Jenko and Lewis Skelly being crashed out. In which case, we'll start with you for centre-backs, Matt. We need two centre-backs, beloved centre-backs. Who would you say?
I don't care for recency bias.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I can't not just say Gabriel. Like, I think he is so loved. I think the way he's not even just like like how good he's been and how consistent he's been, but the way he carries himself around Arsenal fans and like off the pitch and everything like that. The way that he joined Arsenal at the very beginning of Mikel Arteta's era, I think he is so loved, and I feel like the other. I'm forgetting a heap of names. I've not thought too much about centre backs. But I'm just going to say Sol Campbell because I think People
Yeah.
absolutely adore the bloke for obviously obvious reasons, and as successful as he was for us, and just carries himself brilliantly. And
A successful centre-back and was a turncoat in the right direction. He didn't do us over, he did them over. I definitely agree with you on Sol Campbell. I threw out, we kind of discussed it yesterday, I threw out Per Mertesacker. People love what he's become, man.
I love that, to be fair.
Yeah, he's like the BFG of he is the BFG of the Arsenal of the Arsenal back room, you know.
I can't believe this. You're missing that one main guy who's got a statue outside the stadium.
Yes, I know that Tony Adams is an important player. I just wanted to throw him out for fun. So, I mean, Craig, where do you lean in this? Obviously, Josh is very hard pushing for Tony Adams. I like Matt's shout of Gabriel. I think that's actually a good one there. Where would you go, Craig?
I think Tony Adams for all he's done at Arsenal, to be fair. Captain at a young age, won so many trophies. Only Arsenal captain to win a European trophy so far of all the captains at Arsenal. Won a lot of European trophies, but he was the one at age 9 at Anfield as well. Back in those days, he didn't beat Liverpool at those days. So I'll say him, and maybe between Sol Campbell and Gabriel, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay. J-Man, I'm going to put you in this position again.
Oh, yeah, indeed, almighty.
This is a horrible question.
This is, yeah.
Most beloved, Sol Campbell or Gabriel?
Oh.
I'm already typing in what I think is the right answer. Let's see.
Would probably edge Sol Campbell.
Correct.
Really? Remember, he did leave us kind of dirty as well, you know.
But you got to remember though, it's the Tottenham transfer, and
I know.
And just him as a player, you know, he was the kind of centre back you kind of really looked at as like a powerhouse kind of guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's the one good thing George Graham did for us is selling him to us. We'll let him leave. Right. We've gone on for 17 minutes, and that's just the goalkeepers and defenders. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's midfielders time. This is going to be feisty, I can already tell. Right. We'll be back just after this message from Zencastr. Here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spend a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. And welcome back to the Daily Arsenal podcast. We are doing the most beloved Arsenal 11, sort of trying to make up karma-wise for all the horrible things we did yesterday in the most hated 11. We've got the goalkeeper and we've got the defenders. Now it's time for the midfielders. Now, there's a lot of midfielders to pick from in this, and we're not looking for the best, we're looking for the most beloved. Jamie, we've come to you for a tiebreaker twice. I'm going to start now with you.
It's obvious. There's one midfielder that should be on everyone's mind, and it is the one and only Santi Cazorla. He has, like, I'm sorry, but he's got to be there. There's just no explanation. There's no reasoning. He has to be in there.
I could not agree with you more. Matt, we got a big thumbs up from you there.
My favourite player ever, to be honest, so simple one.
He was beautiful, wasn't he? Craig, you agree too? I think I saw a big nod there.
Yeah, I agree. Top player, man. We'll miss him today, man.
The one thing that really breaks my heart is the fact he never said a proper goodbye to the Arsenal fans. We never got that goodbye. We just never had that proper goodbye, and that still hurts to this day.
Yeah, it does. I think he'll come back. And I think he'll say a proper goodbye at some point. There might be a testimonial or something like that.
That would be nice.
Love to see him.
Need attackers, to be fair.
Yeah, we do actually. Yeah, is he still playing or is he just retired?
No, he
He's
still
still
plays for
He's still playing, I believe.
Mikel. If you're listening,
Was he at a recent Arsenal game as well? Like the last Champions League game?
Ipswich.
Yes,
he
I
was,
do
wasn't he?
believe
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably one of the most universally beloved Arsenal players that we've ever had. I think whenever you talk to an Arsenal fan about Santi Cazorla, they just immediately light up. It's one
Yeah.
of those things that just brings them joy. I mean, that's the easiest entry we've had all day. That's great,
Yeah.
Santi Cazorla. Josh, there's a lot of others to pick from. In this formation, we're giving ourselves 3 midfielders because there's a lot of strikers who are very beloved as well and forwards. So midfielder, beloved, who are you thinking to go alongside Santi?
Well, he is a midfielder, but he's more of an attacking midfielder.
That's fine.
I had 2. I was gonna say Robert Perez.
Okay.
Mm,
I was gonna say Robert Perez. I think
Yeah.
even though even his Arsenal, his last Arsenal game, I think he didn't even want to leave Villarreal. I think Wenger wanted to get rid of him.
Mhm.
He was catching on a bit, so he was a bit upset with leaving as well. I was thinking Patrick Vieira, but one thing I didn't like about him is that he used to flirt with transfer. When it was transfer, he used to flirt with other teams.
Yeah.
He used to do it a lot, and he used to get on my nerves. So I didn't really put him in there just for that. So I think I'm edging just Robert Perez.
I kind of agree with you on the Vieira front. He was an icon, but it doesn't necessarily mean he was beloved, I don't think. Craig, where do you stand on the Vieira?
What he did a lot for the club. I
Mm.
do understand where Josh is coming when he said about the whole flirting every season. He's linked with Real Madrid, and one season linked with Man United, one season. Then when we finally got rid of him, then he didn't do. He came back to us for that game against Juventus in the Champions League, and we beat them. So, I'm trying to think who did we get. I think I agree with Josh Perez, 100% Perez, club
I think-
legend.
I quite like the Perez shot. I'm going to preemptively put him in for now, but I'd also like to turn to Matt for the next pick. So Matt, who would you like to throw forward?
It's a difficult one.
It is. Midfielders is a difficult one because there's so many beautiful Arsenal midfielders.
I think this is all very subjective to who you speak to as well. So I feel like the older Arsenal fans, there are certain names which just won't not be in the team. So like Dixon will, Adams will, and players like that 100% will. And then to the younger lot, there will be quite a few of the current squad even, or the last 5 to 10 or so years. It's very subjective. But a few names, I mean, like one obviously didn't watch or anything like that, but the way like David Rocastle is spoken about.
Oh,
I think that's a big shout.
Yeah.
in terms of the love and affection from the club, that is a fantastic shout. Who I'd completely forgotten. Please carry on, Matt.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's the way I always see him spoken about nowadays is almost like we've got our version of him nowadays in terms of how loved Bukayo Saka is, and that always just like sticks with me in terms of how highly he's loved and rated and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then I guess that final slot, or obviously subjective final slot,
Yeah.
you could say we've already got our 3 all sorted. That final slot was it's difficult because you have players like Wilshere who obviously really loved, but obviously the injuries and people always hold them in really high regard, but just those injuries and because he didn't play as much as people would have liked him to, he didn't get held as high of regard potentially, you could say. And I feel like Aaron Ramsey's in quite a similar boat too. I think he's another really loved player. I feel like Thomas Rosicky was another really loved player.
Little
Yes, he's on my list. I was about to mention him.
And then a final name, more defensive because maybe the team needs a bit of balance. There's probably a lot of bias, but Gilberto Silva.
Oh,
I was thinking him too.
Do you know what? I knew JD. I was waiting for JD to mention this.
yeah. JD, you love a bit of Gilberto, don't you?
He does.
Yeah, I think he's underrated. I think he's so underrated.
He is maddeningly underrated. Look, I'm willing to put 4 midfielders in. I'm very happy to do that. And
I was going to give another honourable mention.
Yeah.
To someone we've not mentioned. I want to see your guys' opinion on this, but Cesc Fabregas.
No.
No, not really. Like,
no.
Did well.
Damn. But I thought he did well in that sense.
Would you class him as a legend or as a loved player?
I
feel
think
like
he
the
was
way.
a loved period player. Like, I think
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
one of those where Arsenal have had a lot of really talented players, but they've either ditched us, become legends, or struggled with injuries.
Mm.
And I think he falls into the category of ditched us. Some people still feel really strongly towards him. Like, some people still love Alexis Sanchez nowadays, for example, but they equally stiffed us and can't be in the most lovable 11, in my opinion.
No,
But we call
definitely.
those people wrong-uns, Matt. Who
Yeah.
still love Alexis Sanchez. So far we got Cazorla, we got Perez, we got Rocastle. I honestly, I actually think Silva would be a really good shout in that. I was
Yeah.
also going to suggest Abu Diaby. Was a much
Oh,
loved. People
yeah.
loved Abu. Again, though, with what Matt was saying about Wilshere, didn't really see enough of him because of injury problems.
Plagued, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mm.
Alexander Kleb is another name.
Oh, wow,
Was
yeah.
loved,
Yeah.
but left. Like we discussed yesterday, Craig, left in dodgy circumstances, wasn't like the
Definitely.
happiest. But also Rice and Martin Odegaard. Like Martin Odegaard, he is a
Yeah.
loved player.
Mm.
So
So is Liam Brady as well before our time, but he was a good player for Arsenal back in the day.
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
he was very big at that point.
It's
So
a hard one, isn't it?
it
It's a hard
is,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, difficult with midfielders, yeah.
Do you know what? What I'm going to do is in the last midfield spot, I think because of everyone's reaction, I'm going to put, for now, in brackets, Gilberto Silva. Because I think we can all agree, absolutely adored by the fans. If we decide with our forwards that we'd rather go for just two forwards, then we can have Silva in the squad.
Cool.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, but we'll come back just after this break when we hear a message from the Global Sports Podcast Network, and we'll talk about the forwards. See you in just a second. This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football, and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network. Every club, every day. And welcome back to the Global Sports Podcast Network. It's the Daily Arsenal podcast, and we're discussing the most beloved Arsenal 11. There are arguably either 2 or 3 forwards left to pick from, and I'm going to pick them for us. 2 forwards. It is very simple. It's very obvious. It's Nicholas Bentner and Olivier Giroud, the 2 most beloved Arsenal forwards.
Oh,
Done.
hold on. I thought Kai Havertz would have been up there as well, to be fair.
Maybe from Edmund. Yeah, Edmund will put him there.
60 million down the drain. King Kai scores again. I mean, but on a serious note, Craig, there are some obvious names that we have to mention. Who's the one that we should just get done straight away? Is TT that man?
Yes, but I like Wrighty before TT though. To be honest with you.
Yes.
I'll be honest,
Yes.
I'll be 100% honest with you. I'll say when I was growing up, I thought Ian Wright was the guy. Everyone loved Ian Wright. If you're an Arsenal fan, you loved Ian Wright back in the day. So I have to say Ian Wright and Dennis Bergkamp for me, and then squeezing Henry as well.
Ooh, okay. I do agree. In terms of the beloved players, Ian Wright is probably up there with Santi as like the big loved ones.
Absolutely.
Jamie, is there room in the squad for Thierry Henry?
You've got to have. There's a reason why we've built a statue for this man. He is unbelievable. That's got to be the most ridiculous question ever. Of course, there's room for him. There's room for him.
I mean, we could go 3 at the back.
I was going to say,
Let's go
we've got to make some sort of. Who cares about the balance or the logic of the team? We need as many midfielders and the same 3 forwards sorted.
I think you're right. Yeah. So, I mean, Matt, who's the 3rd forward for you then?
Honestly, he's so loved by Arsenal fans nowadays. It's got to be Lucas Perez now. It's like, obviously Arsenal have had so many loved forwards, and obviously this is a recency bias, but I just can't not say that Saka is not to a degree where it's like no one. I think the front three picks itself like really easily. Like I think Henry, Wright, and Saka pick itself so easily. Henry because you can't not. right because he's adored by Arsenal fans and obviously, you know, the footballing side of things and everything, the way he carries himself, the way he's always involved in projects with the club, and Bukayo Saka just can't not be there. So obviously we've had a lot of top forwards, obviously your Bergkamps and everyone like that who were just absolutely loved, but those three are just ahead of everyone. Love in a sense.
I'd like to make an honourable mention for, I think, somebody who is loved, probably more because of the tragedy involved in their story, but also Jose Antonio Reyes, like, very loved player. Like, obviously very sad what happened to him. I think a lot of the love for him possibly stems from that, which sounds like a really dickish thing to say, but it is. But it is kind of true. I mean, there's also brilliant memories in like Europe and stuff where he played for us. But he was a wonderful player there.
Not to what's it called, make it bitter or sad or anything as well. But I think there's another player who's in that exact same vein, if you will, who, you know, Kevin Campbell, like, absolutely loved.
Oh,
Legend.
Oh God, Kevin Campbell, jeez. I mean, right, there's too many good. Right, we need to lose a defender, guys. We have to lose a defender at this point.
Sanya, it's time to go.
Go.
Well, I mean, at the moment, he's not even in it. We got Lee Dixon, Tony Adams, Sol Campbell, and Monreal. I have a horrible feeling.
I think I know who you're going to. I think I know who you might drop.
I know who I'm going to drop.
Go on, Josh. Go on, Josh.
Go on, JD.
It's got to be Sol, you know. I think it's got to be Sol. The only reason why, because the way he left put a sour taste in Arsenal fans. And that's the only reason why. He didn't leave in the best way, but he came in the greatest way. So it's kind of conflicting, you know?
Yeah, of course.
He's a bit conflicting guy, but I think he's the only one that I can see that probably there's a bit of, you know, there's an error there.
Yeah, I do agree. And the last thing that we have to do, obviously, now Josh reminded me of this yesterday, and through, you know, a very well-renowned manager under the bus. Josh, who is the most beloved Arsenal manager?
This is really, really hard because
I bet
it's you know, because I want to say Wenger, but he was hated as well.
He was hated, especially at the end.
Yeah,
he was hated. So, but I can't not say Wenger because
I'm gonna.
Then there's George Graham again,
yes,
and I don't want to pick him. No, because he went to Tottenham.
Matt made the absolute perfect point, who I was going to suggest as well. Not for the managerial stint, but he's beloved Freddie Ljungberg.
Freddie Ljungberg.
Josh,
the 2 games he managed.
Yes.
Even better. That 3-1 West Ham away.
Yeah, that was a good win. That was a good win.
He's beloved. Go, Craig. You going to say something then?
Nah.
Yeah, I can't have that, man.
Yeah, for real.
Matt, I think it was a great shout. He was my one. I mean, Jamie, it's us, and then it's got to be us. And,
the jackets. You know, him and his jackets, and you know, you just nothing more you can say, really.
I'll be honest, whenever I'm struggling with a coat, I do think to myself, our son would be proud.
You know what? I had that dilemma yesterday. I was literally I was with my girlfriend yesterday, and I was trying to do up my jacket, and she turned around and she was like, "You doing a Wenger?" And I was like, trying to.
I mean, that part at Old Trafford when he just had this in his hands.
Yeah.
That's just so funny to me.
Iconic.
Well,
massively iconic.
Do you know what this means, gents? It means we have our most beloved Arsenal 11. Now, yesterday in the most hated Arsenal 11, it was a banging team. Let's see if we agree with that on the most beloved. Managed by the great Arsene Wenger. David Seaman in goal. And along the back line, a back three of Lee Dixon, Tony Adams, and Nacho Monreal. Making up the midfield, Gilberto Silva playing alongside David Rocastle, Robert Perez, and Santi Cazorla, with a front line of Bukayo Saka, Thierry Henry, and Mr. Arsenal himself, Ian Right.
Oh wow, no room
I
for Dennis
mean-
Bergkamp.
No room for
Nacho
Bergkamp.
Monreal squirmed his way in that team.
When you look at it, he's the real outlier, isn't he?
Yeah.
Period.
I
The only
mean,
thing I worry about this team is pace at the back. There's no pace at the back.
it's
Get
fine.
Gabriel involved, we're chilling.
Yeah, we'll score 20 goals. It's fine. It is mad that Bergkamp's not in there, isn't it?
Yeah,
So-
it really, it doesn't, it really doesn't kind of.
I
doesn't
think
feel
with
right.
him, a lot of Arsenal fans. And I know he's scared of flying, but if he wasn't scared of flying, right, we would have won so much more Champions League games.
We would
Yeah,
have done,
yeah.
If he sorted himself out and knocked himself out for flights, he would be the first name on this list. But
Yeah.
he didn't, so he doesn't even get a look in. Anyway,
Captain, by the way.
oh, who's the captain of? Yeah, who is? I would say two names, and I would say it in terms of the most beloved, as opposed to the actual captain. Sort of like I would say the most beloved. I would go either Ian Wright or Santi Cazorla.
Oh, you read my mind.
Nah.
Oh,
I'm going
Tony
Adams.
Saka's over
Tony
I'm
top.
going
Tony
Tony
Adams.
Adams.
Tony
All
Adams
day.
or-
Oh.
All day. He is. Listen, when he had that drinking problem, right? Wenger said that, okay, none of us are drinking. Because Tony can't drink, we're all not drinking. You know what I mean? It's Tony Adams.
yeah, Tony
know
Adams
before I
sobered
died.
up the whole squad.
Yeah, he literally did. I mean, and the guy's a legend, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I think he is beloved by. I know that period is again, it was quite a long time ago, and I don't think none of us were kind of young at the time to actually remember. But he is loved. There's a reason why there's a statue outside there for him, so he has to.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, you agree, don't you, Craig?
I'll say old school fans say Tony Adams, and new school fans will say Santi Cazorla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mix of both because.
Would they? I adore Santi, and Santi is adored to the high heavens.
Yeah.
I also just think Saka's adored more, almost.
I think he is. The way does no wrong.
So this question I'm going to ask all of you: who do you think should be Arsenal's future captain? Let's say if Santi Odegaard leaves in the future, would you, and Saka's still at the club, would you give Saka the captaincy full time in the future? If he's
He's vice captain.
I'd give it Declan.
I would, I'd probably go, I'd go Deckers as well, to be fair.
Actually,
He's had a experience of being captain at West Ham, so it kind of does seem right to give him the armband.
You know who's the biggest captain though, without probably ever gonna be our first team captain? Gabriel.
Gabriel.
He is such a captain, and he's just so immersed. It wouldn't surprise me if he even gets it ahead of Rice. I'm not sure if he would, and that's obviously saying that Odegaard isn't a captain, which any of those three, brilliant, obviously Saka mentioned, but he is such a captain, isn't he?
Yeah.
Lead by example.
True leader. Well, I mean, that is it for today's episode. We have created the most hated and the most beloved Arsenal 11. And just before we go, Josh, Ange Postecoglou still has a job. We said yesterday.
You see the interview yesterday?
No.
He just looked like. Oh, didn't he say something about the players are tired, mate? Or something? I was looking at a video on TikTok, and it basically the caption said, "My players are tired, mate," and he went on to go and say it in the interview.
Oh, I feel sorry for the man, honestly.
Then he was there talking about struggling with the whole Thursday Sunday transition as well.
I've got it here.
I'll say it like that, by the way.
I'll try and do my impression.
Oh my gosh, here we go. Strap in, guys, strap in.
Because they're tired, mate. They can't. If we'd not played Thursday night and I hadn't rotated the team, do you think it would have been pressing a bit more aggressively today? It's the eyes down. He cannot look at a camera. Anyway, I just thought we'd bring that up because we did discuss whether he'd have a job yesterday. Anyway, that is it. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed us making our ultimate beloved Arsenal 11. I was your host, Josh Vince. Massive thank you to those who joined me, Matt, Jamie Patterson, Joshua Duncan, and Craig Matthews. It was a big old team tonight, and we really hope you enjoyed everything we had to say. We'll be back tomorrow, where we're discussing the problem with Martinelli and the fallout from the reaction to Mars Lewis Skelly's celebration. So make sure to listen to that. It's a really interesting episode. But until then, stay safe and have a wonderful, wonderful day. And from us at the Daily Arsenal Podcast, goodbye.
Every club, every day. The The Global Sports Podcast Network.